Hello everyone. Today Vinura is here with us. To give a brief introduction about Vinura, he's been working with us since 2020 as a machine learning engineer, and he has went on a hike on Pacific Crest Trail from 19th April to 1st of October for 160 days. So, hi Vinura.
Hi.
So good to have you back again. So how did the idea of going on Pacific Crest Trail started? First came to you, and how did you plan, and how was the whole process went on?
Okay. First, I'll answer the first question, which is how the idea came to be, right? So I was hiking since I was from when I was 10 years old. That's when I started being outdoors and doing small hikes. From scouting, I started going out more longer hikes. And once in university, I did a 15-day trek in Nepal. And then I was looking something bigger to do. So I was the Pacific Crest Trail, I always knew the trail. And it seems like this big dream, like a big unachievable thing, because it takes a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of commitment to planning. So I was yeah, that should be one to do. That is how. It is more like pushing my own boundary sort of a thing, more than inspiration to do something. Because after doing that 50-day trek, I was so excited to do something bigger than that, and PCT was there.
Okay, excellent. So how did you feel on the very first day of the week? How did your body handle it, and did you get the
So the funny story, the first day I started walking, I think after 8 to 9 miles in, which is okay, I'm out of kilometers right now here, so I'm going to stick to miles there. So after 9 miles, I knew I had to take electrolytes because otherwise you get cramps. But at the same time, I thought, yeah, it's hot, you're getting sweaty, but I'm from a country where, so it's always hot, right? It was 12 miles in, I cramped pretty much hard. I had to sit down at one point, and I could not move for a good half an hour. I cramped so hard. Then I stayed there for a while and got my electrolytes, so beat off my back, got my electrolytes, drank it. Then I was stressed another half an hour before I started work. So that's how the first day went. My original plan was to 20 miles the first day, but ended up being very short day. I was done by 3 o'clock, just resting, pitched my tent up, and just left. I was excited to 20 miles and get to a point where everyone was going. Here I am just having a big thing that I never even expected to happen. So that was my first day on trail.
Yeah, that's very interesting and very happening. So what surprised you when you first started your trail?
So people when we generally when we are talking about US, there's this big fear mongering where it's very kind of racist kind of idea that a lot of media does, and you people are very individualistic and whatnot, right? But it wasn't the case. I had so much help throughout my hike that I did not expect. So the people and how people are giving and how people are generous, and they did not have any agenda, and that's it. The people is the biggest thing that I was surprised about how people are very friendly for a country like US, because that's what you are not hearing in US.
Yes, indeed. So when you are traveling, during the hiking, what was the most challenging aspect?
It's in a way, it's different challenges in different places. I would say when it started, it's your body is still adapting to hiking long hours a day, and your body starts breaking down pretty much. The first day I did 13-14 miles, the next day it was 8 miles, then after a while your body gets strong and you can go. But the first month your body breaks down, and it's every bone of your body hurts. Every step you take after third or fourth day, your body hurts everywhere. when you put your pack on, your shoulders hurt. When you take a step, your feet hurt. And sometimes, and when you wake up, your body is so stiff, you don't really want to get up and walk. That's kind of funny. But if you take like towards the middle of the hike, it wasn't about your body or anything, it's just mentally challenging. Because sometimes you go through these green tunnels, you can't see anything, just pretty much freeze, and you get like at some point you get like tired of seeing things. And if you're walking alone on these segments, it's just mentally hard that you haven't talked to anyone for a while. You see this phrase and you're like, what am I even doing this? Why? You kind of start questioning that sometimes, so keep that going. Okay, whenever that comes to my mind, what I would think was I was lucky to be out there. That's what I was thinking myself. I got privileged to be out there in myself. So that's what I was thinking to myself, because it's not everyone can actually go through all of it and do it. So if I'm there, out there, it's a privilege to be out there. So that's the technique. And towards the end, we had this, in a kind of set up on fire, pretty much the last segment set up on fire. So a lot of people are quitting, saying, you might come back next year and do it and blah blah blah. And for me, it's like, yeah, ending's not there. I'll do as much as miles I can do, because I know I won't be going back to do another PCT hike in US for foreseeable future. So if I'm gonna quit, what's even the point of I'm starting like a while ago? So the whole point is not to end the hike, but to be out there, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very inspiring, Vinura. It's great to hear it. So, when I was going through your blog, I saw that you came across these grizzly bears and mountain lions. Can you share us about one of those stories?
So it's not grizzly bears; it's cinnamon brown bears and black bears. The grizzlies are not there. So the bears, it's usually two types. There are like very. If you're in the middle of the jungle, the bears that you see are not that terrifying, because they are afraid of you. They will run away. But if you're near a town, they don't really give anything about you are a human. They will come at you pretty much. I have seen that happening. I have seen people's food get torn apart. And what we were supposed to do is we should have this bear camp with our food in there, and we have to store outside our tent. Sometimes you are so unlucky your food get destroyed. And I had a friend who camped hike one day, came hike with us, next day that person had to go back to town get more food. So that happened. So luckily for me, I did not have that problem. And then the most terrifying day was I saw a mountain lion. To give a bit of a context, after one point you really don't care about what time you walk. Sometimes I walk till like 1 in the night, sometimes I stop till 5 in the daytime, sometimes you go till like 3 in the morning. It really doesn't matter. You do whatever you want kind of situation. So this one day I was just hiking at night, around 11 o'clock. I had my headlamp on, I was alone, and I was just looking around. And I can see these two eyeballs, and my flashlight kind of kind of reflects the light, right? And you can see the eyeballs. Normally at night you see animals, and you normally know it is a deer, because those are very common, and the spacing between their eyes. So this is very off, and it's kind of bigger than the usual deer that you see. So I kind of turn on the high beam on my headlamp, and you can see this face, the big cat, just looking at you behind a rock. It's a bit far away. I was like scared, because if it's want to just jump at me, I'm done. So what I did was, only thing I could do, I just kept walking. At the same time, I had my trekking balls. I made a lot of noise with them, making them hitting on the ground so hard. And I was going to camp in 10 minutes. From that point, that is the whole plan. But I ended up hiking for 1 hour more, just to be on the safe side.
Out of all the memories and everything you went through, you can name 3 most memorable incidents in the journey.
Okay. First one is a memorable instance Okay, I'll tell the first one is climbing Mount Whitney. So Mount Whitney is the highest point in continuous United States. It's like without Alaska. So the highest mountain in US is in Alaska. So but Alaska is a separate part of US. If you not consider Alaska, Mount Whitney is like the highest point in all US. So the PCT has this side trail. You can just go there and come back. So I did that, and that sunrise was out of this world. I can show you some photos afterwards. Yeah, that is very out of this world. That is one. Then the second thing is very memorable was when I actually hurt my ankle. That's a memorable instance. That's like a memorable, but it's not like a good memory. But I twisted my ankle so hard, I was in pain, and I thought at that point I will have to quit and go home. So that is memorable, not in a good way. Then there's this part in Washington called Fort Rocks, and you go up on this bridge line for a half a day, and everywhere you look is like this amazing view, and that part is out of the world. Yeah. So this area is, I don't know how to explain it, just beautiful. And I'll show you one video actually. Get us some pressure.
So while media and everything is dawning up, how did you like physically and mentally prepare for the journey?
Mentally, I did not prepare.
You already prepared.
I mean, I was excited to do it. So, and I did not know what kind of a mental challenges I would have. But physically, I was kind of training at Inverteska most of the time, doing especially endurance, like workouts towards more endurance. So because that's what you need, you don't need muscle strengthening, you need a lot of endurance. So my focus was on doing like endurance heavy workouts. That's the whole focus and I did that. And I did like a couple of hikes here and there. But I think this is what I experienced there versus what I practiced. There's a big gap. Because it was when the first few days shouldn't have been that hard if I trained properly, but it did help a bit.
Okay. So when did you when you reached the destination, how did you feel? Like, is there like what you expected, or like must be definitely more than what you expected?
So the actual end that I wanted to go was up on fire, right? So that the end that I went is a detour into a separate place in border. So the actual end was closed from US side just simply because there was a wildfire like 1 mile nearby. So for me, when I got to the end that I made for myself, or like kind of a lot of people started going, when I get there, and I this is what I did pretty much. I went there, put my bag down, put everything down, and just left. Like next to the border, I just laid down and closed my eyes. I did not know how much time I spent there, but like I think after a good half an hour, I just closed my eyes and tried to go from the beginning, like in my mind, think from the first memory that I have on PCT to all the way to it. Funny enough, it's sometimes some memories are very blurry, and sometimes some are very memorable. For me, what I thought, end was nice, but what I experienced was way better than end. So end was nice to have, but the journey itself, I mean, it's very cliche to say not the destination but the journey, but kind of the truth. Because the people that you meet, the stories that you hear about their stories, and the whole experience as a collective is more memorable than the end itself. But it was nice to have, I think.
Okay. So yeah, what's next?
Okay, so here's the point. Like for the last 4 years, I knew I was kind of going to do this. So I kind of structured my whole life around it. Everything that I did, even coming to OCTAVE was like same scenario. So everything that I did was pretty much kind of structured toward doing that. Right now, I don't have, this is what I want to do. But I know if I'm going to do something like a hike like this, it will be the hike in New Zealand. There's like a long distance hike called the Aurora. It's supposed to be like beautiful as well. So if I'm going to do this, it will be that. But for now, there's no complete plan. So just finish something.
Yeah, like congratulations on like completing the whole journey. Yeah, if you don't mind, can you share some photos and videos you have?
So what I want to show is
while he's
so hair kind of goes on very top of the eye, and this is like the path. So you kind of, if you look at the left to the right, it just views sometimes. So it kind of goes up like that. So this part was one of my favorite spots on the trail. I'll come back to get my camera, but this is like the trail. That's fun. I mean, there's a lot of videos like this I can just Again, the same story. Where sometimes like this, sometimes tend to go under tree line. Sometimes you're up there, sometimes you're down there. It just something. So this is one of my favorite parts. So I'm going to go through these photos one by one and kind of explain how it is. So this is the starting point. This is near Mexico. It says Mexico to Canada, 2,650 miles. So you start from here and you go to Canadian border. So this is next to Mexican border. And I think this is the first morning after first camping night, and I just took the sunrise there. That's that one. Then again the same view after a few miles. Yeah, this is I think day 3 or 4. We were going around this mountain, and this whole area was big valley. That was again, I love that section because this is California desert, and it's like really hot. It gets sometimes like daytime it's like 35. The worst day was like 42 degrees, and that day I drank like 8 liters of water. I did not know I can drink that much water. Yeah, again, this is at the summer camp. Remember? This is day 7. You go through this and you come to again. Some people are like kind of like camping, and we were just looking at the sunset and just having some chill out time. That's one of the things about trail is, when you're out there, there's no one to say you have to do that. You have to do that. You can do whatever you want. So, some point, if you want to take a day off, there's no one saying just do that. There's no deadline. There's nothing at all. But at the same time, if you don't do what you have to do, like keep up on a pace and keep on a regular pattern, you will get behind and ultimately you won't be able to finish it. So, it's very important for a lot of hikers to keep like a self-regulation, like that you stick to some kind of plan. Because if you don't, you will get behind, and ultimately a lot of people quit because they were behind. That's me. That's one of my friends that I hiked with. This is one of the sunrises I took. I think this is when I was hurting, like my ankle was. So one of the stories, before getting this, one of the stories that I had, coming down from this mountain, I twisted my ankle really bad. I could not do this movement. So at that point, I thought I will have to quit, pretty much. And I was so afraid because I did not want to come back to Sri Lanka having to quit because I injured myself. I was sad, and the people that I meet, I can't keep up with anyone. So, and I just did not know what to do. But at the same time, I knew if I walk a bit more, there's a road that I can go to a town. So I was going to go to a town, get myself checked out. That was like the whole idea. Then suddenly, I met this person who has done PCD like 2 years ago, and that girl is actually going up and down on trail treating hikers. She's a physiotherapist, and for my surprise, when I went to that place, and she kind of was there, just treating hikers, and I did not expect like physiotherapist to be there when I was just going to quit, and she looked at my leg and was like, it's not a fracture or anything, it's just a body reaction because I twisted all the way there, my body is reacting by being stiff. So I got some exercises to do, and after I did those exercises and started to take some painkillers, I could move, but it was hurting. It hurted for 2 weeks, to be honest. But it was not like I can't walk hurt, but it kind of every step hurt. But you kind of push that, and I was so motivated to like push through the pain at that point because it's not gonna make it worse. But there are cases, I had like friends who actually had stress fractures and had to quit and to actually fly back home. So my worst fear was getting injured. Yeah. This is Mount Santasinta. It is like a very beautiful snow mountain. Then this is coming down there. This is actually when I was coming down on this trail after taking this photo. I think 2 hours after taking this photo, I kind of twisted my ankle pretty much. I remember that very well. Again, a campsite. I take some night shots. This. And at this point, I was actually like, when this was one of the days that my leg was hurting really bad. I could not do the miles that I wanted, and I just found this small part of land that I can pitch my tent in, and this is like 3 o'clock. I normally walk till like 6 or 7, and this day I stopped at 3 o'clock because it was hurting too much. Then my body healed and it got better, and this is one of the famous landmarks. I think this is one of the Star Trek movies. Star Trek series was shot at. So this is one of the famous landmarks along the way. And there's a lot of landscapes. Everywhere looks beautiful, but at the same time, at one point you get like numb to the beauty because you see the same thing every day. It's a fact, okay, this is just another view. You get like really numb at point, even though it's like mind blowing if I do it in a very different manner. And this is like the Mojave Desert, it's like no cover, you have to go through this stretch and go to like the other side. So there's no trees, really hot, and I ended up night hiking this. I stopped around like 10 because it was too hot, and started around like 5 in the evening and went till like 3 in the morning till next day, so that I do not get burned in this, because there's no trees pretty much. These are the same place because I started around 5, it was the sunset, so. And you go through these wind farms, and it's not really, it's kind of fun when you started it because the headwind come at you and kind of push you down, and sometimes push you back from back, propel forward. But after a while, you get like really tired because the wind is like really strong there. And I was able to get this photo, and there's a hiker somewhere like right here, so that was nice. And I gave him the same because this is like the other side of it. So I came through all this desert, the other side. This is stuff like coming from the other side, come up and get to the other side of that wind farm. Again, like this is all California high desert because even though it's like mountains, they call it high desert. So, and this is when you get to Sierra Nevadas, that area where you get like snow mountains, lakes, and I was happy to get there because when you're in desert, you have to carry like 3 to 4 liters of water sometimes, which had like 4 kilograms of extra weight, which is really not fun to carry, but you just have to carry it anyway. I mean, fairly a lot of hardships like that. At the same time, you are rewarded with a lot of views, a lot of friendships, and a lot of people. So yeah, and I was happy to like just get out of these, there's a lot of water. That was so fun. And this is the Mount Whitney. When you go up there, you get to see the sunrise, and this photo doesn't do it justice. That's what I have to say. It's a beautiful photo, but at the same time, it doesn't do it justice. Again, this is when you get to the top of that mountain. This is like the highest point in continuous US without Alaska. And this is one of the passes. You kind of go from here, there's some few hikers up there, you kind of go like that, and to the other side. Again, these are like alpine lakes. So whenever you get to a lake, you kind of jump in, and I only could stay in there for like 10 seconds, 12 seconds. It's freezing, and you get like really numb after that. Lot of lakes in that area, and the water carriers are short, and you don't have to carry like 2 liters. You can just take like a half a liter and go to the next place and fill up and go again. That's nice. Right. So this area is like you have to do some snow hiking, like alpine hiking. And some of these places are really slippery, and also because you're in like very high altitude, like 4,000 meters and above, there's a risk of getting like altitude sickness. This year, unfortunately, one girl died pretty much because of altitude sickness. If you ignore the symptoms, again, you can actually die. So for me, I did not get any headache, but it's just that sometimes when you're up there, you kind of get stubborn because you don't want to go down. We just want to go to the other side. So it was an unfortunate incident this year, but a lot of people do not know those signs. And this is also one of those incidents where this hiker is getting rescued by this lady. So this is how the rescues happen sometimes. When they call for we have our GPS unit where you can get located, and if you are in trouble, you can actually press a button and someone will come for you. So we talked to this lady, and that hiker was getting rescued because that hiker had like altitude sickness. So they sent some horses up there to get them done. Lamana, it's your time. So yeah, this is again, I love this day because it was pretty, and it was like out of this world. There's like so many lakes. It's like dreamy. There's like 200 photos. This is called Thousand Island Lakes because it has 1,000 islands, like small islands like this. And when you're up there and looking at it, it gives this vibe where you are in like a dreamland. Like you can go to these small islands if you want, like swim. And I kind of went one, and I did not like have like enough strength like to go. This is in Yosemite. This is top down, and this is like a 70-degree angle. You have to go up there and come back. This was one of the days I actually thought, if I sleep, it's like you're done. And I was up there around like 7. This photo is taken around like 6:30 or 7 because the sundown is at around like 8:30, and there was no one was up there, and I had the whole half dome to myself. But it was bit of a scary thing to do because it's like 70 degrees and inclined. So I remember this day, these 5 biologists, so they were just going there, looking at birds, taking notes. They were hikers, but they were also like UK-based biologists, and 5 of them just going together, taking notes and whatnot. And they gave me like a full lesson on birds that day. I did not expect that, but I got a full lesson. So this is a thermal geyser where it has like sulfur and makes like a lot of smoke, and it looks pretty. But it's not active volcano or anything, it's just not active, but there's a lot of sulfur, so it makes a lot of like that, and the water is hot. I mean, people can ask questions because I was just going to go through all the photos. People can start asking questions, I guess. Yeah.
So, why do you have to always start from Mexico to Canada, not the other way around? Second question: do you prefer hiking solo or something in group? Or?
So the first question is, it's easier because the Washington area is very remote and rugged. Once you go up there, actually, you can't really reach. After like 2 days, you have to walk 2 days. Either way, you can just really exit. In Washington, it's rugged. So for me, starting from California, where if something goes wrong any day, you can kind of like exit. There's like access to the trail and that part. And also being remote and rugged, and I knew my body is not used to going southbound. We call it southbound and northbound. Northbound is going from Mexican border to Canadian border, and going from Canadian border to south. Mexican border is called southbound. So doing a southbound hike is more rugged, and actually I think it's more hardcore compared to going northbound, because northbound your body gets like adapted gradually. Whereas if you go southbound, you have to actually be really fit to start off and go. So I was like, and also not a lot of people go southbound. And in terms of meeting people and everything, going northbound makes more sense for me. What was the second question?
Solo.
I have been a solo hiker, I have been like a group hiker, and I have been like few people. I think for me, I would prefer solo most of the time. But there was this one day, I was working for like 3 or 4 days, I did not see anyone, and I was like, man, I have to see some people. What I did was I kind of went to processed the road, and I went to a town, went to a hostel, pretty much, checked in just to talk to some people. So it sometimes gets really, really lonely. So it's not like you want to be alone all the time, but when I'm hiking, I like to be like solo. But when I'm camping or when I'm having lunch, I don't mind someone else come and join me. Because people just come and join you, have your lunch, and then you guys go. Because people have different speeds, so you don't really kind of work together all the time. It's just when you're camping, when you're eating your lunch, or when you're taking a break, or when you're taking water, someone would join you.
I'm always a big fan of you, man. So I'm just wondering now, I'm super pumped after watching your presentation. Now, if I just go and tell my parents, look, I'm going to go on this Pacific Trail, I was probably going to slap on my face. What was it like with your parents? How did they take it? How do you, firstly convince them? Because, how old are you? Fine, forget about the age. But, parents, like Sri Lankan parents, right? We're all Sri Lankan. We have Sri Lankan parents. you're concerned, you're so particular. So how did you counter that? And then how were your parents mentally when you were out in the Pacific?
Okay, so I've been hiking for like last 15, 16, 17 years. Of like, let's say grade 1 or 2, I was in scouting, so I was an outdoor person going on hikes. So it was no surprise that I did. But at the same time, I kind of started conditioning them pretty much. Since like the last 3 or 4 years, I was just saying them, I'm going to do this between next 4 years someday. So I just kept telling that. I thought, and my mother first thought I was joking, but then I went to like Annapurna and came back when I was telling it, she thought I might do it, but really wasn't sure. She wasn't sure until I got my visa. So at that point, she knew I was going to go. So my mother's policy is, she knew I was going to do it anyway. But my mother said, you rather do it without blessing rather than not. So they were supportive. And my father was like, you know what you're doing, you have done a lot of fights, so you go and come back. And my sisters has been always supportive. So from a family-wise, they were very supportive. It's just my mother was very concerned, like, what something goes wrong, what something goes wrong. She was like very afraid. And so I never really told the extent of how dangerous it is. I told my sister if something goes wrong, like my sister knows what to do. So I kind of kept her in dark something. Because you really don't want, because they are already worrying about you.
Exactly.
You don't want to worry them more than they have to. So if you want to like tell actually how bad it is, you don't tell the person who actually worried the most.
Yeah.
That's how I actually thought about it. What's the other question?
Yeah, the other question was, what is the learning that you came about, with your experiences that you can extend into your day-to-day life?
It's this, like, no, when you are there, there's no rules. You have your own rules, but there's no one to tell you to get up, tell you to walk, tell you to do 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles. No, there's no one to tell you, like, push. If you do it, it's for you. If you don't do it, it's not for you. So normally, when we do something, our motivation factors are very external. The way we motivate is like to get the promotion, maybe to get the more money, whatever, right? Now it's for me, it's very internal. Why should I push for something? It's like very internal for me. It's not external. That is a very shifting mind, I would say. And confidence builds as well after it.
How do you manage the shift the time? The going for like 6 months with the solid diet, second question, you must have spent a lot of money on the gear, right? And certainly going on such a huge hike with rugged roads, you must have sort of had to replace your shoes and things like that. How do you go through that?
The first question, the food. So the diet is normally consists of energy bars. For me, it consists of a lot of energy bars. I eat like 4 or 5 energy bars a day, and also the breakfast is like oatmeal with some nuts and something. And lunch was, they have pretty good tortilla you can get, and you have, I fry some kind of like a meat or tuna packets and put it there, and some packet of vegetables like leaves and stuff. You eat that, and for the night it's ramen or pasta. You kind of cook that. That's the only time I cook something at the night, because at the daytime it's kind of like hard to cook, and you don't really want to like boil water and wait for that. At the night when you wind down, you can cook something and have something hot. That's nice. So the change was, like a lot of people have this question: how can you eat without like live without eating rice, right? That's like the most common question I got from like a lot of people. I thought like it's not that bad. You can actually live without rice. Yeah. So the gear, I spent roughly around like $3,000 on gear, because these are not normal hiking gear. What you need is like something pretty lightweight, which lasts for a long time. At the same time, you have to rely on your gear. So if you have to spend something, if you are like relying on your gear on for 6 months, you don't want to cut down cost on that. So I spent good amount of money, like $3,000 on gear pretty much, and I replaced my shoes. I went through 6 pairs of shoes. When you're going to town, these towns are either catered to tourists or hikers, because if the trail goes near one of those towns, it is catered to tourists because you go to one of these beautiful mountains and there are a lot of tourists come to see that mountain. After coming to that town, those towns have whatever you need pretty much. I only had to go to like order from online once because you knew that it's not going to be there, so you kind of get on Amazon and order it to a resort or something in that town, so they keep your package for you. Then you have to pay like a small like $3 or $4 to order in your package, and you pay that and you get your package and you could kind of move on.
If you were to go on that same trip again with like any one of us, who would you pick?
Not you.
Don't put me on that question, please.
Who would you pick? Okay, fine. Would you pick a data engineer, a data scientist, a delivery, or would you pick PMO?
Sorry?
Would you pick anyone from data science?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, which data science, our platform, the PMO, what else do we have? Delivery, visualization, yeah.
Maybe later on.
If you don't mind, I will take you.
Sigi.
Vinura, did you try any like natural food like wild berries and
Actually, yes.
fishing?
The
Yeah.
case is trying to get you into
So there's
this
sort
one
of
might custom menu.
there's a lot of berries, wild berries, strawberries, and not strawberries, huckleberries, blueberries, and you kind of make like a lot of jam with it and put on your bread and eat it. And yeah, that was nice. I mean, it's like very fresh as can get, I guess. Example? No. No. I mean, so it's the hunting is prohibited in national parks. So this goes to like 11 national parks. So I know a few people who did like fishing, which I wanted to learn, but I didn't. But other than that, like I kind of eat fish some people else caught. Other than no white versus man stuff.
And it's pictures like this which you can, properly assess the quality of the TV. It's like so amazing. Like it's those things what they have in those retail shops. When they're selling you TVs, they will show you this kind of pictures. Just like show the most, like popped out color. Like I'm just going to buy this TV.
Any other questions?
We're done.
Okay.
What are the chances of securing a JK job get sponsorship for your next hike?
You learn how to answer that, right?
That's why it is Jalan.
But that is why you are having this as well, as a promotional campaign. Yeah.
I mean,
That's why he didn't see like me when I asked the question. I asked him whether you want to go solo or with somebody. Obviously, asked whatever he is doing.
No, but seriously, I think this is great campaigning because it's something that you working at OCTAVE. I mean, you mentioned that it has been part of your strategy, right? Like adjusting your lifestyle and your decisions in terms of career as well. Like OCTAVE is a place where you've been able to still work at OCTAVE, but also find time to do this. So.
I mean, is that alright if I tell the whole story? Okay. So when I was I interviewed around like 2020 April, And when the final interview that I had with Jolan, I actually told Jolan, "Here, I'm going to do this hike in next 4 years. I will need like 6 months off. Is that alright?" And I was interviewing for like 4 other companies. And JK's on place said yes, and I joined them. Pretty much that was my decision making for joining JK, nothing else.
This only applies when you are joining I hope that is it. Otherwise, I also got.
So I think the moral of the story is it's that you would have to leave OCTAVE, join a game, then ask from Milan, get the permission approved.
I was
already thinking about it.
Well, I would say knowing what you want out of anything in very advanced and being very upfront about this worked for me more than anything. Like I did not drop a bomb saying I have to do this. I was very upfront about it. So that worked for me very well. And when I was because I talk to other companies as well, right? No one else willing to say yes, and I can say upfront, okay, I'm not going to join you because I don't get to stay with you. If I'm not going to do this, and I have to quit and do it, I won't. So I was very upfront about it. For all the people that I contact, it's for the stakeholders, I would say.
It's trust.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, I think it's time for Hip Hip Hooray.
Yeah.
You still didn't ask the question, bro. Who am I going to take?
I told you so.
So thank you, Vinura, for joining with us and sharing your experience and answering all of our questions, and of course sharing the videos and photos with us.
I'm not even done here. There's 100 photos left.
Give your Instagram.
Oh.
Sorry?
So I would invite Jolan to hand over.
Oh, wow. Bravo.
A beautiful soul deserves beautiful things in life. May the destruction of life be full of many more successes like this one. Congratulations on your achievement.
Thank you.
Let me guess, Chanaka wrote that line. Chanaka was good.